Welcome to episode 242 of the Selling Your Screenplay podcast. I'm Ashley Scott Myers, screenwriter and blogger over at sellingyourscreenplay.com. Today I'm interviewing writer, director, and actor Mike Mayhall. He recently co-wrote and co-directed a limited series TV show called Bronx SIU. He also lives in Louisiana, so far from Hollywood, and has built his career all while living outside of Los Angeles. So stay tuned for that interview. If you find this episode valuable, please help me out by giving me a review in iTunes or leaving a comment on YouTube or retweeting the podcast on Twitter or liking or sharing it on Facebook. These social media shares really do help spread word about the podcast, so they're very much appreciated. Any websites or links that I mention in the podcast can be found on my blog in the show notes. I also publish a transcript with every episode in case you'd rather read the show or look at something later on. You can find all the podcast show notes at www.sellingyourscreenplay.com/podcast, and then just look for episode number 242. If you want my free guide, How to Sell a Screenplay in 5 Weeks, you can pick that up by going to sellingyourscreenplay.com/guide. It's completely free. You just put in your email address and I'll send you a new lesson once per week for 5 weeks, along with a bunch of bonus lessons. I teach the whole process of how to sell your screenplay in that guide. I'll teach you how to write a professional logline and query letter and how to find agents, managers, and producers who are looking for material. Really is everything you need to know to sell your screenplay. Just go to sellingyourscreenplay.com/guide. Quick few words about what I'm working on. As mentioned over the last couple of weeks, I'm in the final stages of getting my crime thriller feature film, The Pinch, out into the world. Last Wednesday, we had our world premiere in Las Vegas at the Action On Film Festival. We ended up being nominated for a number of awards, although we didn't actually win any of those. But it was a really great time, lots of fun. I went to both awards nights, watched a ton of films, just spent as much time as I could just in the screening room trying to watch. There was a bunch of shorts, a bunch of features. So really just fascinating, interesting to see films and then talk to the filmmakers, see the filmmakers. It really renewed my own dedication to independent film. Just seeing and being around so many passionate filmmakers is inspiring. I mean, there's just a lot of people out there, and hopefully in some small way this podcast is about that too. You know, just getting word out there that there are other passionate filmmakers out there, and you know, having these interviews every week and just seeing the hard work and the struggles that we all go through. It's all part of the process. It's all very normal, and just it's inspiring to see these other filmmakers, you know, having the same problems that I have with my films, they have with their films, and you know, we're all just pushing these things out, trying to just be creative and put something out into the world. Action on Film did a great job organizing the event, bringing a ton of really cool creative people together in a very supportive environment. And that's really, I think, my takeaway about Action on Film is that they're really trying to create an environment that sort of fosters, you know, support and encouragement for creative people. There was rank amateurs with experimental shorts. I mean, I saw one short film. It was kind of cool. It was just all in this apartment. This woman's kind of being chased around an apartment complex, you know, like a 5-minute short. Obviously just her and her friend did it. She shot it. She's like the actor in it. She edited it. So, you know, just very much a do-it-yourselfer, all the way up to high-level action movies. In fact, Alexander Nevsky, who I interviewed in episode number 181, he was actually at the festival with his film Maximum Impact. I think he got a couple of awards. The film Astro, I talked to that director, Asif Akbar, just a few weeks ago in episode 233. That film was nominated for a number of awards too. I think it actually won a couple of them. So as I said before on this podcast, I'll say it again, this is a great way to meet people. There is a ton of directors at film festivals, a ton of producers at film festivals, and I can tell you from seeing some of their films, they need help with writing. So if you are a good, competent, easy to work with, friendly writer, I think going to a film festival like this could really, really help you meet the right types of people. Again, these producers, these directors that are entering these types of festivals, they're very accessible at a festival like this. Everybody is there. Everybody is there to talk to other filmmakers and just get to know the other people at the festival. So I would really encourage you, if any film festivals are within driving distance for you, just go to some of the screenings, maybe try and go to the awards dinner, or maybe even volunteer to work at the festival. I mean, if you volunteer to work at the festival, that's a great way to really get in, know everyone, get to meet all the filmmakers, get to meet all the people running the festival. So again, if you have the time, if you have the resources to volunteer, I recommend that. But at the very least, just look around your local city, your local area. Maybe there's a city an hour or two away that you could drive to conceivably locally. Just look around. Almost every major city in this day and age has a film festival or two. Some of them, not that well run. Some of them will be like ghost towns. You'll go, there won't be a lot there, but that's going to be part of the learning process, finding the good festivals. Again, I really would recommend Action on Film is really a good festival for people to go and attend. It's a supportive, caring environment. People really are there to, at least that's the sense I came away with it. People are really there to, talk to other people, help other people, get help themselves. So if you're ever in the Las Vegas area around August, definitely check out Action on Film. But even on sort of taking a step back, if you don't have the resources to fly to Vegas or go to Vegas, just look around your local area and get involved with a film festival, because it's a great way of just sort of building your network and being a part of the filmmaking community. Anyway, so hopefully you can tell I had a great time. I just couldn't recommend Action on Film anymore. It just really was a great job, and they did a great job running it. So now I'm full steam ahead trying to release the pinch. I'm getting the deliverables to the aggregator. Last week I literally mailed them a hard drive with the film and the trailer on it. The film seemed to pass, at least I'm not exactly sure what their quality control process is, but at least the preliminary one, it sounds like they sent me an email. There's a couple of issues, but it sounds like I passed that first check. I'm not sure if there will be more QC down the road, but at least the first check, we kind of got the film through. The only real issue was I used the wrong codec to output the trailer. So I've got to basically just re-export the trailer and then send that to them. The trailer is actually small enough that I can do that online, so I don't have to actually physically mail them a hard drive, although I did include that on the hard drive when I mailed that to them with the film. So all in all, that's at least this first round of QC seemed to have gone pretty well. I'll do that this week, re-output the trailer, and then put that up so that they have it, and then hopefully this will slowly be moving forward. And then the next sort of step is setting like a hard release date. Once all the stuff is passed and all the stuff is in their system, then we can really figure out what that hard release date will be. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, that's what I'm working on. Now let's get into the main segment. Today I am interviewing writer, director, and actor Mike Mayhall. Here is the interview. Welcome, Mike, to the Selling Your Screenplay podcast. I really appreciate you coming on the show with me today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So to start out, maybe you can tell us a little bit about your background. Where did you grow up, and how did you get interested in the entertainment business?
Okay. Well, I'm from a small little town called Mandeville, Louisiana, which is about 30 miles just directly north of New Orleans, Louisiana, as the crow flies. Mm-hmm. And how did I get interested in the entertainment world? I've always been interested in the entertainment world. I can remember as a little kid watching television thinking, well, I can do that. And then I wouldn't watch the television show because I was mad because I wasn't on the television show. But that's the mind of a little kid, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not going to. And I've just always been interested. And at some point in time, I got involved in local theater, which led to my high school theater, which led to college and summer stock. And it just sort of kept building from there. Mm-hmm.
And so originally, when you're getting out of high school, are you thinking you're going to be an actor at this point? Was that sort of your primary goal?
Oh, yeah, man. I was supposed to be on Broadway, sword fighting and acting and doing Shakespeare. That was the plan coming out of high school. And I went to college in Natchitoches, Louisiana, and it had one of the best undergrad theater departments in the tri-state area. And I don't know if you're familiar with Actors Equity Association. It's the stage union, essentially, as SAG is the Screen Guild, is the stage union for actors. And our theater program was run like an equity house. So it was extremely professionally done, and it was just great. And that's where I got I not only studied performance, but that's where I studied I really dived into creative writing and playwriting and directing. So it built sort of a foundation there.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. At what point did you say, hey, I think I could be good at writing as well? And were you always writing in high school? Were you writing little plays and stuff? So it was always a part of sort of your repertoire?
I had just an overly active imagination. And I wrote my first play in high school. We had the high school did two plays. It did a musical and then a straight play. And then for the juniors, seniors, was it just the seniors? Anyway, you were able to write. They had the one-act plays, and those were original plays. And I wrote a one-act play, and it got picked and it got performed. Mm-hmm. And it just sort of further cemented my love for like a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. And but as far as like sort of like, oh, am I a good writer or this? I never really I think until very recently thought of myself as a writer. I just knew I had stories and I had ideas, and I liked to write them down. And I think I did it more for my own enjoyment than I did with any sort of like bigger goal. Even when I was living in Florida, and I was writing, I was helping write plays for some of the stuff at some of the theme parks, and then I had my own company and I was writing original shows. I really just wrote it as like, well, we need a show, so I'll just write the show, and then I'll perform and direct the show. But I never really thought of myself as a writer. It was always just this something that I'd always done, and it wasn't till finally my friends kind of were like, Mike, you're kind of sort of pretty good at this. Mm-hmm. And you should just bring it along with all your other sets of skills and nurture it as much as you've tried to nurture the acting and the directing.
Yeah. So I noticed on IMDb, your first sort of writing, directing, producing credits are a bunch of shorts. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that. I'm a big proponent of shorts. Almost every week on the podcast, I'm telling people as writers, it's a great way just to get out there, meet people, see your stuff on film, and work through some of the practical aspects. Maybe you can talk about that. How did you find these shorts? How did you raise money for them? How did you produce them?
So the first short I did was not very good. It was the screenplay was good, but I really it was a theater play, and I'd been working in the film industry for a while, and I was like, I really just wanted to just do what you said. I wanted to take a whack at directing a short film, and I learned a lot from that short film, and it was just all volunteer. Everyone volunteered. I was like, hey, it's going to be a day of your life. You want to come out and help me out? And I had some friends in the industry, and they all came out and they did it. Mm-hmm. And I learned really, really quickly like what worked and didn't work. So then, and that was like an 8-minute short film. So the next one I did was a half an hour. So if I can kind of tell you like where I went from, like what I learned, how I learned into the next one. The next one was a half an hour, and again it was. I'm trying to think if we paid anybody. I might have paid my cameraman. I think I paid my camera guy. We found a boom mic. That's all we had was a boom mic, and we lit it with lights from the hardware store. Yeah. And everybody came together, and I wrote a script, and everybody liked it. And I said, let's just do it. I think we took 2 weekends, and we filmed it out at my mom's property in the backyard because it was I wrote it so I could film it outside. Mm-hmm. And I learned a lot from that. I think I've lost track of the question because I'm rambling.
Yeah. No. I think you're answering. And then, so what was the jump? So now you've done a few shorts. What was the jump? And it looks like Jake's Road, at least on IMDb, is your first feature. So so what was the jump? I mean, once you've done a 30-minute short, you're actually pretty close to a feature film.
I think it was just sort of naivete and ambition. I was like, I had a lot of friends who do a lot of shorts, and I look at them and I'm like, man, you guys are brilliant. You're crafting these great, beautiful kind of works of art, and they're so wonderful and they're so amazing. But then they kept doing short films, and I was like, I feel like I could spend the next year or two doing a dozen different shorts, which is beneficial and wonderful and amazing. Mm-hmm. Or I could just write a script and just go for it. And that's what I did. Mm-hmm. And I had a contact, his name is Dan Garcia, who is the show creator of Bronx SIU. And Dan and I had met years ago on another film, and we just sort of cultivated a relationship. And I wrote a script. It was written to be low budget. And I thought it was pretty good. And I sent it to him, and he said, this is good. If you can figure out how to get it produced, I'll help you sell it. And so I had sort of a producer sort of already in my corner. He didn't offer any financial assistance. That was up to me. And I just and once I sort of found someone that sort of just gave me just the slightest bit of belief, mm-hmm. I just went out and found money.
And when he said he would sell it, he would take it to distributors and basically sell the finished product.
Yeah, he would knock on doors for me. He would help me out, and he would introduce me to people of that nature. So suddenly, in the matter of an hour, I became a writer, director, producer, mm-hmm. and learning how to produce a film was probably the best experience I could have. I mean, it was really a trial by fire. Anything that could have gone wrong in a film, it happened to us. And it wasn't necessarily things that happened to us. I mean, 3 weeks before we rolled, we had a Class 3 hurricane come in and wash away our site, and everything was underwater. Uh-huh. We had to push, we had to move things, and it was just a nightmare. The laundry list of things that went wrong. Mm-hmm. post production and pre-production. I'm sorry, pre-production and post production thing. It was just a nightmare. The actual filming went great. It was great. But it was the bookends of things where I didn't quite understand how everything worked, where there was a lot of pitfalls.
And so how did you raise the money for that one? Do you have any tips there for just a first-time filmmaker?
Like every other first-time filmmaker, first place I went to was friends and family. I had been pounding the pavement really hard in the stunt world, quite literally, and I knew that I wanted to create something, so I'd saved as much money as I possibly could over the last 2 years with the intention of producing a film. I just didn't know what that film was going to be yet. And because I also realized real quickly that unless you've got some, is it a low budget, not only say low budget because that makes it sound like the movie is not worthy of like a bigger accolade, but as I say, a small film producer, someone who's concentrating on smaller scale films, I realized that people weren't going to really take me seriously unless I had some skin in the game. So I felt it was important to me to have my own money in the game. And that opened up a few doors of like, like a friend had a friend who was interested in getting and investing in movies. And when I would talk to them, I'd say, yeah, I'm putting up $15,000 of my own money. And suddenly it went from, they looked at me differently as I was sort of like, I was a producer, I had something invested. Clearly, I'm not going to put my own money in if I think it's not worthy. And so it just brought me into another level of a conversation because I had tried before that and people just sort of, they just smiled at me and they were like, well, the film, go get them, kid. And I was like, that's not where I want to be. I don't want to be shuffled off like that.
And so what does your pitch look like to friends and family? It seems to me that's a very different pitch than having like your, investment deck and ROI and that kind of stuff. It's more about being a part of this cool project or something. Maybe you can talk a little bit about what your pitch looked like.
It was, my family had seen me go from the kid in high school to a professional working actor and supporting myself. And I think so for them to see that was kind of important because I wasn't just coming to them with my hand out. I was saying, look, I've got an understanding of how this works. I've been working professionally. I've got a producer who's going to give us distribution connections. And I really think that, this is my first sort of step. So I approached it to them in two ways, as someone who was a professional who knew what they were talking about. And at the same time, I was like, Grandma, I really want to do this. And Grandma's going to always help you in a different way than anybody else. And your parents will and things of that nature. Some family looked at it as a business thing. They're like, well, show me your plan. Talk to me about your plan, which was helpful because it helped me sort of visualize my A, B, C, and D plan, how to get there. And some of them were just like, yeah, I'll help you because I love you. And I've been seeing you go through this and I believe in you. It was a much more casual conversation. But I can tell you, I did learn early on, and I'm still trying to master this, is that I realized that I'm selling me, not necessarily the screenplay. Did you know, like I find that if people believe in you, they are much more likely to come on board as opposed to just, believing in the paper, because it's hard to create something tangible out of just a screenplay, because it's really just words until you can put it on film. And I don't even think my family realized what we were doing, because I showed them the finished product. They're like, wow, Michael, it's a real movie. I'm like, well, yeah, I'm a real filmmaker. So it was an interesting sort of all around thing, trying to get the money from everybody.
So let's talk a minute about living outside of Los Angeles.
Sure.
So you got out of college, you're sort of a theater actor. How did you make that jump to becoming a professional actor? And did moving to New York, LA, was that ever part of your plan? And did you ever go to one of the big cities?
Yeah. Originally, it was part of the plan. When I got out of college, I did summer stock up on the East Coast up in Maine. And then a friend of mine had moved to Orlando, Florida. And she was like, you should come down here because you have a skill set in stage combat and sword fighting and stunt work. Plus, you're a classically trained actor, and you have all this sets of skills which are in high demand out in Orlando, Florida. And I realized I wasn't quite ready to go to New York or LA yet. I knew I wanted to go to one of those places, but I was just a little unsure. So I thought Orlando sounds like a good place. And when I got down there, they had all the theme parks, and some of the most talented people in the world work there, and they had a huge theater local theater, professional theater scene, as well as they had film and television. So it seemed like it just a great place to sort of land. I ended up spending almost 10 years there. And inevitably, what happened in the film world, I had a friend of mine who's doing stunts in New Orleans. Around 2003 or four, the film world started really Hollywood started coming to New Orleans. Mm-hmm. And so I had an agent a film agent in Florida. I had done some auditions, hadn't really booked anything, but then I got an agent here in New Orleans and just started submitting. And it was just as simple as that. Like, I told him my theater background, I said I had no film, but if you just take a shot on me, I promise you I will represent you well. Mm-hmm. The one thing I was always tried to be professional in everything that I do. And it was really just a matter of that. And then it just became about pounding the pavement, knocking on doors and hustling and never stopping. Yeah. It's just, you just got to keep going in this business. It's really about the times at bat. Sometimes you hit a home run, but most of the time you're just trying to get on base.
Yeah. So I'm curious, have you found, like, I guess there's always the big fish in a small pond, or the small fish in a bigger pond. Have you found that being in New Orleans, there's enough acting work and you're a hustler, you're well known in that sort of circle?
Yes and no. So for me, when I came to New Orleans, I would have what I guess in theater terms you sort of call an ingenue look. Like, I wasn't a character actor. You look at me, I'm 5'10", I'm athletic, and you kind of say like, oh, you're kind of more in the leading man category than you are in the kind of 60-year-old grizzly man look. Like, I just, in New Orleans, there's a lot of character actor roles, a lot of things that don't call for my look, unless it's sort of like the young cop or the young angry guy. Like, so there's a lot of one-liners. And you've heard of Hollywood South. I'm sure it's got to be floating around Los Angeles. So you get New Orleans and you've got Atlanta with the big hot spots. So in one way, it's helped me to be here because I've gotten in front of major Los Angeles casting directors that I would have never, ever been able to see or meet in person living in Los Angeles. And when I get on set, it's such a more relaxed atmosphere here. I'm able to talk to directors and producers and executive producers, and they're way more open to just talk about the business and how to pursue things. So my time spent here, I really just looked at it like a big office. Even when I was living in LA for a few years, I just looked at it as every time I'm on set, I'm going to try to learn something beyond just the line that I'm saying. Like, why is it being lit this way? Why is the camera pointing this way? What is the reason that it's dialing this way? The camera's going here to here or here to here. What's the director thinking? What's he saying? So I would always sort of hover or ask questions. And I think that ultimately is one of the reasons why I really like it here, because I've been on set in LA and it's way more strict and it's way more tight. It's much harder to get around the people I really want to be around, which are the directors and the producers, to understand what they're thinking.
Yeah, for sure. So let's dig into your latest TV series, Bronx SIU. Maybe to start out, you can give us a quick pitch or log line. What is that series all about?
The Bronx SIU is about a group of, I would say, elite detectives that are up in the Bronx, up in New York. And they're brought in and focus on some of the more difficult or I hesitate to use the word darker cases. Like, they're just sort of the cases that are outside of the box. And this group comes in to solve those sort of crimes. There's 8 episodes, and there's some really unique crimes and criminals running around that these guys have to come in and think outside of the box to solve. Okay. And a lot of it, it's just a good. I'm sorry. I think we bid on something really good there.
Yeah. It sounds fascinating. So where did this idea come from? What's sort of the genesis of this project?
So again, the show creator Dan Garcia has been off and on together for a few years, and last year he called me and he said that he's got a TV show that he's working on, and he says it was his baby because Dan grew up in the Bronx, and he was somewhat writing this show from sort of his perspective of back then. He said he drew some of the cases and things he remembers. He sort of drew from his memories there. So he outlined / wrote the first 6 episodes, and then he gave them to me, and I was like, hey man, I think you got something here, but let me work, let me do my thing with it, because I think I can polish, or I think we can, between his voice and his vision and my words, I think we could really make something great here. So I did a pass on all of them and finished out the ones that he had just outlined, and then wrote 2 more on my own to make it 8 episodes versus 6. So initially it was presented to me, and then I just came on full force to really help bring Dan's vision to the screen, and in doing so, it also became my vision. So it really became a collaboration.
So when Dan came to you, he had these outlines and some of these scripts written. Did he have any other pieces in place? Was he already starting to pitch it to networks or get network money or anything?
Yeah, he had some investors, and he had the network UMC, the Urban Movie Channel. I think on the ready to buy. I don't know. To this day, I don't know if they were on the hook and ready to go, or if it was show us the final product and then we'll think about it. Sometimes in this business, it's you kind of like saying, I've got this, and in order to get this, and I've got this, so now I can get this. It's an interesting juggling act. So I don't 100% know if he had something
but
lined up.
There was a sense that he was going to produce these things. It wasn't writing on spec. I mean, he had some money in place.
It was pretty much, this is happening. Do you want to be a part of it or not? And I was like, absolutely, I want to be a part of it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Perfect. So let's talk about your writing process, and we can talk about specifically with this project or just sort of in general. And it sounds like this is a little bit unique, but maybe even the 2 episodes that you wrote yourself. To start out, maybe you can just talk about the collaboration back and forth. So he sends you these scripts, and then did you read them, and then did you tell them, here's the direction I think I should go, and then you guys sort of hammered out some the notes, or did you just go in, do your thing, and then send it to him and hope he liked it?
It was more of the second. It was more of he sent it to me, and I was like, all right, man, I see where you're going with this, but I see a better path and a better way to say all this. And Dan and I have a good, open, honest relationship in the sense that you know, in the arts, you just need somebody that can say yes or no to you and be honest and not get upset, because we're all sensitive to feedback. We all want everything we do to be great, but the truth is it's normally the 5th or 6th pass that really the gold stuff comes out. And so I just basically, I said, here's a rewrite. What do you think? He said yes, and I just kept going. And once I did all of the 6-episode rewrite or finished, then we sat down and we went through. And basically what he did was he said, you took this moment out. I really want you to add this moment. I said, okay, well, I'll add this moment, but let me say it the way I want to say it, so as not to sort of keep sort of the story intact and to keep people's character voices separate. You know, each character has to have a separate sort of voice. And even as we would go through and film, there would be constant rewrites. You know, there's a scene at the, you know, and we would toss scenes out and rewrite them. And there's a monologue at the end of episode 6, you know, big scene, which was, you know, I wrote, and it really was for me sort of the summation of Bronx SIU, this ending monologue, and it was great. And the lead actor Brian White, who plays Jimmy Blue, he just nailed it. And but so yeah, it was collaborative in the sense that he had handed me something, but it was really a lot of my own voice, in that he just trusted me and let me just go with it fully, which was great, you know.
Yeah. So on these 2 episodes, and maybe this is more of a general question too, just when you're writing something like these 2 episodes where you're not rewriting someone else's work, how much time do you spend outlining versus how much time do you spend actually in final draft writing dialogue? And
every screenplay for me has been a little different. For those final 2 episodes, I had an idea, and it really I don't even think you can call it an outline. I just had bulletin points I wanted to hit. I'm like, so and so does this, and then so and so does this, and then I just sort of bulletin pointed all the things that I wanted to happen, and then I basically stepped away from it for a day or 2, and I just let the wheels turn in the background, and then once I had it, I pretty much just sat down and spit it all out.
Okay.
Every project for me has been a little bit different. Sometimes I get really detailed outlines. Sometimes it's scene by scene, and sometimes it just I get the whole story in my head, and I just sort of start from finish. Don't just keep going.
What's a good day look like for you in terms of page count once you get into final draft?
Wow. You know what? For me, it's not about page count. It's about scene count. So some scenes are harder for me to write than others. Let's say I've got a scene that is 1 page, and then the scene following it is important, and that's going to be like a 3-page beast. It's more important to me about make sure the scene is correct and where I want it to be. Because I find it's really hard for me to sort of move on to the next moment. Even if a scene is halfway done and outlined meticulously, then I feel comfortable sort of moving on. So I don't really hold myself to say, oh, if I don't get 5 pages, or I don't get 8 pages, or 10 pages, or 15 if I'm feeling ambitious. I really just try to say, I want to get through these scenes and these moments, which then lead me to the next scene and the next moment. That's what's important to me. I don't know if that's a different way of thinking, but that's
no, I think that's interesting. Where do you typically write? Is this the office we're looking at? That's your home office?
A little bit. So right now I've got my big iMac here, and then behind me is my laptop. And most of the time I'll write on the laptop, just because I find that like if I sit in one place for too long, I kind of just like a change of energy. Like if I'm sitting at the house and I'm writing and I feel sort of stifled, I'll go out to a coffee house or a place to get lunch, and then I'll just something about a change of atmosphere, and I think the energy helps me kind of keep going.
And when do you typically write? Are you a morning person, night person, middle of the day?
All the time. I've gone through phases where I tend to write all night, and I've gone through phases where I write all morning, and then sometimes it's in the afternoon. It's just whenever it sort of hits me. I kind of sometimes I write by creativity, but when I really know I have a project that's important, I will sit and I will make myself write just like a day job. I'm like, all right, I'm up and I'm going to write from this is my job today. I'm writing. Even if I only get 2 pages out, I'm going to write. I'm going to force myself to write because it can always be rewritten. It doesn't have to be beautiful the first time you get down. It just depends on the project and how I feel I can approach it.
Yeah, sure. So how do you know when your script is ready to show to other people and to get some feedback on it?
The moment I hit the end, I am ready for feedback.
So
Absolutely.
you feel like when you get to the end, you've polished up the pages all along. You don't necessarily have a vomit draft and then a rough draft.
Yeah, I am my own worst critic. Like I will sit and I will rip apart a line of dialogue for hours and how should he say it? Should he say it like this, or should he say it like that? I will just destroy myself. So by the time I sort of hit that final period, I've gone through either in my head or on paper through deletes several drafts. Every time I open up the screenplay to write again, I will save it as a new draft. So I'm only write 4 scenes, but that may be on, let's say, 4 different days, so that'll be 4 different drafts. And I will just constantly save as a new. So like one screenplay for me could have 20 different drafts, but it's really just a continuation of each thought.
I see. That's smart. And then if you've done some rewriting on something, you might want to go back to that older draft, and you have all that older draft. Yeah, I run into that sometimes where I rewrite something. The original stuff was actually better, and then you got to start trying to hit Control Z. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what is your rewriting, or what does your development process look like? You've got the script, the first draft done. You've sent it out. Who do you typically send it to, and how does that process work for you?
It just depends. I've got a few buddies who do screenwriting, and we're constantly trading scripts back and forth and trying to challenge each other. I think people, if you've been in it long enough, I feel that you know who you can send it to for like the honest feedback and the feedback you kind of want to hear. Like, I really just need to hear that, yes, you're doing a good job and keep going. So I've got that person. Then I have got the person up who's going to just rip me apart because he knows that if he doesn't lay into me, I'm never going to try to be better. So I usually send it out to a few people just to get some feedback and thoughts. And if I can, I will gather my peers together and we'll do a play reading of it. And we'll just sit down for sort of a round robin afterwards, and they'll tell me their yeses and nos, what they like and don't like.
Okay. So once you were done with these scripts, were you involved at all in the process of then pitching to the networks and raising the additional money?
No. By the time that we were done with the scripts, we were a few days out from shooting.
Okay,
so during that time period, Dan just left me alone to rewrite and write scripts, and he went. I think he put on his producer hat and went to I guess the investors or UMC, did his deal, and the next thing I know, we're in New York, we're scouting, and then we're in Los Angeles and we're filming.
Okay.
It was super quick.
Yeah. And so, and maybe I asked this and you said you didn't honestly know. So now once you finish the things, were the TV networks involved by that point? Like once you're done production?
Yeah. I believe UMC was involved by that point. I don't know how they were involved. I don't know if they were involved as a backer or an investor, or if it was they had a contract with Dan to air the episodes once they were completed. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that was pending approval or what. That I don't know.
Okay, perfect. So, what advice do you have for writers at this stage? 2018. What advice would you have? Just some general advice, someone trying to break into the business.
Man, I just think so. So I have some friends who are producers, and they tell me they get hundreds, if not thousands, of scripts a day. So it boggles my mind of like how to get to the top of that pile. For the years I have entered all sorts of screenwriting contests, and with all the big film festivals and screenwriting contests I've entered, and I always get feedback. But what ultimately frustrates me is that the person giving me feedback is just one person, and it's their sort of opinion, and it's but it still doesn't go anywhere. It hasn't gone anywhere for me. Mm-hmm. I've found that the best way to get your scripts and your material out in front of people is make some shorts, keep promoting yourself in that way. People will notice. Cultivate relationships. The relationship that Dan and I have, and I've got other friends who are producers in the area now. We all started at one level, and we are all working up towards the next. Mm-hmm. So you really have to work hard at cultivating those relationships. And here's the secret formula. If you want to try to get something done small, you have to hope big, but you have to write small. Because as an independent producer, let's say I say, well, let's just say $50,000, and I want to do a $50,000 movie. Now, it can be done, but it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of sacrifice. But I'm not going to go looking for a sci-fi film or a horror film with like tons of visual or special effects. I need to find a sort of specific film that I can fit into that budget. So if you can write small, then you'll probably have a better chance of getting your screenplay done. Mm-hmm. And in today's market of the digital Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, everybody needs content. So if you can put a little brick, and the next time it's a little bigger and a little bigger and a little bigger, then you'll start working your way up. Yeah. Go to the American film market. See what the distribution people want. There's a big difference between what you want to write and what they're asking for. And I've never really been good at like pitching a film cold. It's just not my strength. But some people are, and I've seen people sell films based off a poster and a concept. But I think that the thing that I came late to the game was learning the business side of everything. Like I'm all about the creativity, but there's a whole other world out there that you have no control over, and that's the business and production side. And producers are some of them are pretty heartless, man. They'll look at it and they'll go. I've had people go, "Oh, your screenplay's 95 pages. We need a 90-page script." Gone. What? Did you remove the cover letter? I don't know. Like I've seen that. I've been around that, and it's heartbreaking to me because I know how hard it is to write a 90-page script. But I would say learn the business side will give you a much better insight into what the market is looking for, how you need to write, and what needs to happen. And with creativity and all the things out there now, you can write small and film small and still walk away with a big project that can put your name in big letters. Mm-hmm.
So we talked about this earlier, sort of living outside of LA, and you sort of described your situation with acting. And I'm curious, with writing, it seems like it's a little bit like, definitely I think being in Atlanta or someplace like New Orleans, because there is so much production, it stands to reason that as a competent actor, you're networking, you're meeting people, you could find some work. But as a writer, I'm maybe a little more skeptical, because the writing seems like it's definitely done in mostly LA, sometimes maybe New York.
Right.
Have you ever thought, in terms of as a writer, producer, director, have you ever thought maybe it would be advantageous to go to LA?
Yes, and I've been thinking a lot about that this year. With the release of Bronx SIU, I thought, man, it seems like now I've got something really legitimate. You can no longer deny that. Okay, I've done something. Something is here. Here it is on my resume. And with the like I have a producer friend on SYS New Orleans, and I called him and I said, hey man, I got this show coming out. I really want you to help me figure out how to have NCIS New Orleans look at me as a director writer now, not just some guy living in New Orleans who talks about it. And he put my name in the hat, but they'd already picked their directors for this year. So next year, we're going to revisit that conversation. So there's one sort of way I'm trying to figure out how to get into the network television. What I noticed locally, as far as writing is concerned, is that I notice a lot of people who come in here with small independent productions. And that ranges from everything from, I've seen $25,000 movies to $2.5 million. In this outside of Hollywood range, a lot of the writers are also the director. I very rarely see productions where it's here's the writer and here's the director, because again, that's a budget sort of thing. If I pay a writer and then I got to pay a director, as a producer, it's advantageous for me to have one and the same. Mm-hmm. Or the writer takes on another sort of another hat of an assistant, of a producer or an actor, or they just find a space to fill that can help move the film along. So I've seen a lot of that, which is great, I think, for the independent filmmaker. So if you're a writer and you think you have the ability to direct, or you're a writer and you feel you have the ability to produce, I think you need to start pushing that envelope, or bring that, or try to sharpen that skill set a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I have friends who are struggling out in LA who are writers, and they're going through the same thing everyone else is. It's they're just knocking on doors and knocking on doors. And I get screenplays sent to me. I think I'm averaging maybe once a month right now. I'm getting a screenplay or two, and I like the concepts, but at the level I'm at, they're too big. Like I can't make a $2 million or a $5 million film. That's just way away from me right now. I mean, it could change tomorrow. Bronx SIU could be a hit, and then next thing you know, I am making that, and I would love to be able to. But I'm looking for things that are compartmentalized and that I can do.
Yeah, that's so smart. And I talked within the last maybe 2 months. I talked to a producer, and I'm not sure if he was based in Louisiana or not, but as selling your screenplay, he was looking for writers that were based in Louisiana, and it was something to do with the tax breaks. I mean, obviously there's the production tax breaks, but there was also some sort of tax incentives for actually getting a writer that's also from Louisiana.
Yes. So in Louisiana, if you are a local writer or director, I forget exactly how the law breaks down, you can get up to like a 40% tax break on that individual.
I see.
Or if they are producing, you get a local producer director. Let's say you're a writer and you go, I got a screenplay, and then together we find a producer, and I'm here as a director. The whole production can get up to an enormous 40% tax break, or don't quote me on that, but it's huge. It's big enough to bring the money in. So then it becomes a local Louisiana production.
I see.
It's an interesting thing, It's interesting once you start trying to learn the business side and the money side of things. It really allows you to see things from a different perspective and write sometimes from a different perspective. I still write the big projects. I still write the $20 million fantasies that I want to do. But I also I've got that side of me that's like, okay, here's the small stuff.
Yeah. What's next for you? Are you starting to think about what your next project will be after Bronx SIU?
Yeah, there's the hopeful little kid in me that is really hoping we get a second season. So I'm already mentally sort of pinning down ideas of plots and characters that I want to come back, and where I want the story to go and how the arcs to happen. Because at the end of this season, we've really set up a really major cliffhanger, and I've got my bad guys positioned where I want them to be. And so I really want them to really come to fruition in the second season. As far as what my sights are turning on right now, we have 2 projects that we're trying to get up, Dan and I. One is a really small micro budget film down in Florida. It's a family adventure film. It's sort of my nod to Goonies. It's got some moral lesson, and it's got some adventure. It's really cute. And then another one is a bit of a darker action thriller, murder mystery, where essentially everybody's a criminal. And it's just more about who's the nicest criminal, of the group, who's the good guy in the room full of bad guys, sort of scenario. And that hopefully will be a little bit bigger. In fact, I got to call Dan about that. Now that I say it, I need to call him about that. That's things to follow up on.
Throughout this process, you mentioned at one point you had an agent for acting. You had an agent in Orlando, then you moved to New Orleans. Have you tried to get an agent as a writer and a director?
I'm just starting to look into that. I'm now that the show is officially out and playing and all episodes are accepted. I'll probably look into getting a directing an agent for probably more directing than writing. And that's mainly because I guess it's a bit of vanity. I just want to direct what I write, or find somebody else's project and help them the way that I've been helped. I really enjoy doing that. I love to help and nurture other writers and feedback and things like that. Not that I'm the best at what I do, but I just feel like I've got a little bit of experience I can pass on.
Yeah. In terms of, because I think what you just said is more typical, but I think people that are trying to break into the business, they think it's the reverse. You get an agent and then you get, your first TV show. And maybe you can talk to that a little, because I get so many emails from people. Hey, how can I get an agent? How can I get a manager? And I've been doing this and selling scripts for decades at this point, and I've really never had an agent or a manager, an effective agent or a manager. And I just think people don't realize that it's the horse before the cart in many cases.
Yeah, I really feel that Hollywood has got, there's a definite magic to Hollywood where you can kind of get off the bus and suddenly someone sees you, you say the right line in the right room to the right person, and you're a star. We've all sort of we've seen it happen in television shows and interviews, but the most part of it is you are slaving away, and it's 25 years down the road, suddenly you're an overnight success. I feel like the mainstream in Hollywood sort of has a show me first attitude. Show me your first film. Show me your short film. Show me your feature. Show me your screenplay. Okay, they want to go, okay, you're legit, and then maybe they'll talk to you. And I really firmly believe that there are no rules in this. Mm-hmm. Do it the way that you think it should be done. I've often said to my friends, I said, I wish I was as naive as I was 10 years ago, because I didn't know all these unspoken rules of don't talk to this person and have the screenplay written this way and have it this way. I would just go out there and do it, and no one told me no, and so I just kept doing it. And so I just think, man, if you want to be a screenplay writer, write your screenplays, try to get them produced on your own. It's a hard beast. It really, really is. But once you do it, nobody can take that away from you. No one can ever say to you, you're not a screenwriter, you're not a producer, you're not a director, because it's there, it's on tape, it's a digital, it's yours forever. So I just think you got to do it. You have to do it. Yeah. I can remember coming up in the business as an actor, as a stuntman, as a writer, as a director. There was always the free stuff. It's like I'm slaving away for nothing, and then I'm making $50 a day. Now I'm making $100 a day, and then now I'm making scale. Mm-hmm. But there's a system of dues. And hard work, and that's the only thing that I've got to say is that it was just a lot of pounding on pavement and hard work. Try to be a nice guy along the way.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. So I just like to end the interviews by asking people, what have you seen recently that you really, really thought was great? We're in this sort of golden age of TV. Anything on Netflix or Hulu that you've been watching? Any TV shows, movies? Anything you recommend to our audience?
Everything. I love everything on TV now. It's so good. Like it's hard for me not to find like a TV show where I'm like, that is a great moment. This is a great thing. I really love. I'm a big comic geek, so I really love what Netflix has done with like their Daredevil and the Punisher and things like that. Like from the writing to the camera angles to the lighting, it's just beautiful. I'm watching a show on Amazon called Britannica. I'm mispronouncing it. It's about the Roman invasion of the Celts, and it's just bizarre and phenomenal and crazy writing. It's just all over the place, but I love it. Fortitude on Amazon was great. I'm just a big fan of everything. But I really force myself to try not to look at it from a director, writer, producer point of view. I just really, at the end of the day, want to be entertained. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what I want people to want about like Bronx SIU and anything I do. Like, I don't want you can get in it, you can get into the artistry and go, well, why does this person lit more than that person? And why is the camera doing that? But at the end of the day, I just want to be entertained. I want to have fun. I want to think. I want to cry. I want to laugh. And that's what I look for. And that's what I try to give.
Yeah. So sound advice. So maybe you can talk real quick just about the release schedule of Bronx SIU. When is it coming out? What networks will it be on?
Okay, so it is officially on UMC, the Urban Movie Channel. And if you have Amazon Prime, you can also watch through that. UMC is it's a paid prescription. It's like $4 a month. But since I got you right now, so if you go to UMC or Amazon and to the Bronx SIU, if you put the code in, let me make sure I have this right, Bronx UMC, that's BRONX UMC, you should get a 30-day free trial.
Of UMC. Okay,
UMC, yeah. So that's pretty cool. And it comes out once a week, every Thursday. So this Thursday, what's the date of this Thursday? Do you know? I can't think of the top of my head.
Probably like it's the third, so it'll be August 2nd.
August 2nd. So August 2nd will be episode 3. There's already 2 episodes up right now. Go to UMC, enter the code Bronx UMC when I ask for the promo code, and you can catch up. But every Thursday, new show.
Perfect. What's the best way for people to keep up with what you're working on? Twitter, Facebook, blog, anything you're comfortable sharing, I'll link to the show.
I would say I have a Facebook account, Mike Mayhall, and Twitter and Instagram. It's all under my name, either Mike or Michael Mayhall. And I don't post a whole lot, but usually when the next project rolls around, I'll put some information out there. And, I try to get more involved in social media, but
there's only so much time in the day. I got you.
So much time. Yeah.
So, well, perfect, Mike. Congratulations on getting this done. Congratulations. I look forward to hearing about your next project, and I really appreciate your time today.
Hey, man, thank you so much for having me, and keep writing.
Yep. Thank you. We'll talk to you later.
All right, man. Bye.
A quick plug for the SYS Screenwriting Analysis Service. It's a really economical way to get a high-quality professional evaluation on your screenplay. When you buy our 3-pack, you get evaluations at just $67 per script for feature films and just $55 for teleplays. All the readers have professional experience reading for studios, production companies, contests, and agencies. You can read a short bio on each reader on our website, and you can pick the reader who you think is the best fit for your script. Turnaround time is usually just a few days, but rarely more than a week. The readers will evaluate your script on 6 key factors: concept, character, structure, marketability, tone, and overall craft, which includes formatting, spelling, and grammar. Every script will get a grade of pass, consider, or recommend, which should help you roughly understand where your script might rank if you were to submit it to a production company or agency. We can provide an analysis on features or television scripts. We also do proofreading without any analysis. We will also look at a treatment or outline and give you the same analysis on it. So if you're looking to vet some of your project ideas, this is a great way to do it. We will also write your logline and synopsis for you. You can add this logline and synopsis writing service to an analysis, or you can simply purchase this service as a standalone product. As a bonus, if your screenplay gets a recommend or a consider from one of our readers, you get to list the screenplay in the SYS Select database, which is a database for producers to find screenplays and a big part of our SYS Select program. Producers are in the database searching for material on a daily basis, so it's another great way to get your material in front of them. As a further bonus, if your script gets a recommend from one of our readers, your screenplay will get included in our monthly Best Of newsletter. Each month we send out a newsletter that highlights the best screenplays that have come through our script analysis service. This is a monthly newsletter that goes out to our list of over 400 producers who are actively looking for material. So again, this is another great way to get your material out there. So if you want a professional evaluation of your screenplay at a very reasonable price, check out www.sellingyourscreenplay.com/consultants. Again, that's sellingyourscreenplay.com/consultants. On the next episode of the podcast, I'm going to be interviewing Luke Del Tradici. He has an extensive background in television writing, so we talked through that part of his career, how he got started in TV writing, and just talk briefly about some of the shows he's worked on. He also recently did a feature film called Arizona, so we dig into that film as well, the writing of it, and then how ultimately he was able to get it produced. So keep an eye out for that episode next week. That's the show. Thank you for listening.